The week that Ohio State will be tested more than they've been tested so far, but perhaps not tested to the degree that we thought, at least until around 3 o'clock Saturday. Wisconsin, who I thought would certainly be 7-0 like Ohio State, Mr. Spielman, instead found a way to give away a game at Illinois. How much luster does that take off Saturday's noon game in Ohio Stadium?
Well, I think it's probably disappointing for Fox, who has the game.
I would imagine.
I mean, they're like, are you kidding me?
It's disappointing for me. I wanted to see a top 10 matchup.
Well, I did, and look, Wisconsin is more than capable of giving Ohio State a game. I think it's easily their toughest opponent on the year.
Yeah.
I think you look at the quarterback, Cone, 264 yards on Saturday. They do have some balance in that offense. They really do. Now, I just don't understand the defense. I mean, you're a 31-point favorite. And I guess I shouldn't say that because Ohio State was huge favorites against Iowa. Ohio State was huge favorites against Purdue. And
not this huge. This was the biggest upset in the Big Ten, point spread wise, since 1982.
And how about a quarterback from Michigan for Illinois, Brandon Peters?
Looking good, man. Looking good.
They cut the wrong guy.
He looked better than Michigan's quarterback.
So it does take a lot of luster off, but I still think it presents the biggest challenge Ohio State will face, especially with Jonathan Taylor, of course, who's a tremendous football player and probably be the top back taken in the NFL draft. And defensively, I think it'll be the biggest challenge that Ohio State faces this year.
The end of the game in Champaign, Illinois, Saturday is our Flashes of Fun picture-perfect play of the day. Yeah, they certainly did stun the Wisconsin Badgers, and all of us, you'll be stunned at the low prices you'll pay for great senior pictures, pet pictures, family pictures from Flashes O Fun. Check them out on the web, flashesofun.com, and book on the web, and you'll save up to $50 off. They love working with pets. They love working with young kids. They love working with everyone, and you'll love working with them at Flashes O Fun on the web, flashesofun.com. Their pictures used very often on Unsplashed around the world, viewed over 2 million times. So there you go, Flashes O Fun. I mean, good for Lovie Smith. He needed a win like that. I probably buys him another year at Illinois.
Well, they needed. I saw Lovie being interviewed. He said they needed a signature win. That's a signature win for Illinois. And don't forget, the week prior, Illinois was in a game with Michigan, and Illinois was playing their backup quarterback. So I don't know if Brandon Peters plays. Does Illinois pull off the upset against Michigan? Maybe. Because Michigan is still reeling, in my opinion. I mean, they just cannot get anything going consistently, both offensively or defensively. I think they have some good players, but for them to get down 21-0 at Penn State, it's just unacceptable, man. That's not what they are. And Penn State's good, but Penn State, when you look at Penn State, Bruce, are you scared?
No, not at all. Not at all. Their secondary is very vulnerable. It'll be proven so, I believe, November the 23rd. You were in Detroit yesterday for the Lions and the Vikings. Yeah. Okay, so I wondered, the circumstances of Michigan's loss. I mean, obviously, they're down 21-0, as you mentioned. They make a nice comeback. I actually got a vibe in the fourth quarter. I thought, you know what? This might be that signature win that Harbaugh needs. They might make a comeback here. They felt like they were had figured some things out, and they were coming back, and they're driving, and they go down, and they get should have been a tying touchdown pass to Ronnie Bell in the end zone. A little flip from Shea Patterson. Ronnie Bell drops the ball. Yeah. It happens. He gets, I really think it's just a few stupid things said to him on social media. But you're in the press box yesterday in Detroit. I just wonder, did it ever come up? Was there any kind of vibe from all the Lions people that you talked to, or who obviously many are crossover Michigan fans? What's the vibe about Harbaugh? Maybe not about that game.
I think there's a difference when you talk about NFL guys, right?
Yeah.
And college guys. I mean, I'll use an example that I used yesterday, a very similar example, in where I think there's more of an accountability, or where you can go after an individual for not making a play when he should make one.
In the NFL.
Yeah, in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think, look, Ronnie Bell, I felt bad for the kid. I watched it. I was talked to Joey Galloway yesterday, actually driving home from Detroit, and I was talking about it. And you know, college kids, they're at Michigan, you're expected to make that catch. You should make that catch, but you're not going to bury the kid, right? Because it's a college kid, and there's a difference between a college guy and the NFL. Nobody feels worse about the drop than Ronnie Bell. Now, the only thing that Ronnie Bell can do when he gets another opportunity is make a play. That's all he can do. And so, but I think it's a microcosm of maybe the frustration and the missed opportunities that Michigan has had all year.
Yeah.
You know, they're not as good as their record, by the way.
No, they're not. They're not as good as
and they have
record.
Notre Dame this week.
Notre Dame this week. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They don't have a prayer of beating Ohio State at the end of the year. The only way, and you know, I hesitate to bring it up, Justin Fields' health is the only thing that derails Ohio State, and I'm not sure that would derail Ohio State in the regular season. But in the playoff, obviously, they're going to need Justin Fields. Now, before we move on to more on the Northwestern win and the Bengals being just completely inept and the Browns getting ready to play the New England Patriots, I want to talk a little bit more about your day yesterday because we got a treat in Columbus yesterday. Did you know you were on here?
I heard
the Bengals were not on. No, I don't know all.
Well, that's because they were on
ins
CBS.
And outs. Okay, they were on CBS. Okay, but we had a 1:00 CBS game. We had the Packers and the Raiders.
Probably a better game.
Well, I mean, if it had been the Steelers, maybe even the Colts. I mean, I'm not trying to blow up Channel 10. I don't know who makes the decision. I don't know if they were forced to take Packers and Raiders. I can't imagine why. But I would assume they were given the option of taking the Bengals, and they chose not to. And they certainly would make an informed decision based upon Bengal ratings. But back to your game in Detroit. It was a treat. Number one, where was Tom?
Tom was with Troy. Because Joe Buck was doing the baseball playoffs.
Oh, okay. So who was your partner?
Brandon Godden, a young kid, Big Ten Network, does about 3 or 4 NFL games a year. Is also the voice of EA Sports on Madden with Charles Davis.
You mentioned that, yeah.
And
he sounds like Tom.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a young, talented guy, and he got a great opportunity yesterday, and it was fun to work with him, and did a great job. And it was interesting for me. My two of my daughters came up. 2 out of my 6 or 5.
Thank you.
Counting my 2 stepdaughters, who I treat as my own, of course, and they came with their boyfriends, and it was fun. And the Detroit Lions are so accommodating.
Mm-hmm.
I did a game in Cincinnati where I had some family members come.
Yeah.
3 hours before the game, I wanted the family members just to show them the TV booth.
Yeah.
Like where I work.
That's what I do.
What I do. 3 hours before the game. So it's a 1:00 game. It's 10:00. They wouldn't even let them up in that booth for 5 minutes. That's the Bengal way.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Bengal way. It was so frustrating for me because I'm not trying to take advantage of my position. Hey, just, let me bring them up. I'll bring them up through the back elevator, through the whatever you want. I just want to show them the booth. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
But that's the Bengal way. And, they said no. And, okay, I said, I'll respect your rule, but I disagree with your rule.
Mm-hmm.
Then they said, by the way, can you do a pregame hit for us on our internet?
On Bengals.com?
On Bengals.com. Would you mind doing that? And, of course, I did.
Yeah.
Biting my tongue, but I did because of this show, because what we're trying to preach. And I remember, people don't know this, I had a conversation with you, and I said, I'm having a real problem with this.
Yeah.
Because
we talked about it.
I did. And I made a decision because I went back to do another Bengals game. And, of course, they asked me to do another hit on their Bengals.com and a couple of their radio shows with Lapp, who's a friend of us. And
longtime friend of yours.
Of course I will do that because it's Dave Lapham, right? But the point being is that, and we can get into this from a spiritual standpoint, do you remember what I said to you? I said, my instincts and my human nature tell me, the heck with you.
Not just to say no,
yeah.
To say it with feeling.
Say it with feeling
and
emotion and bitterness.
Yeah.
And I talked to my wife and I talked to you, and she said, that's not the way to handle it. I mean, you know who you are. And when people ask you to do something, you do it. that's what you do, even though everything is telling me not to. And that's kind of like living your faith. There's some things that we know we shouldn't do, but it's for the greater good that we have to choose to do. And so I thank you for that. But although you gave me the other advice, you told me not to go. Yes.
I don't remember doing that. I probably said, and tell them why. Say, I thought, as I think back on it now, I think you had already done Bengals.com. And then they said, no, you can't come in the booth.
Right.
And then you said, what should I do the next time?
Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
And I said, the next time I would say, I'm sorry, but, I don't really feel like I can.
Yeah.
But I do like Carrie's way better.
I did, but it was hard. That's my point. Sure. So I want to encourage everybody.
It's not easy walking the walk, man.
When something's hard or it's challenging or you feel like, and it's minor, it's not like a big major slap in the face or anything. It's minor, but it is a real a chance for me, figuratively, to turn the other cheek. Yeah. It was an opportunity, and it took a while for me to realize that. And fortunately, I was able to act on it, even though my human instincts were telling me not to act on it.
Well, you know what? I will tell a quick story here. When I left the fan, I had to go back in at the end and clean out, my office. Well, they had already cleaned it out for me, which I didn't like very much. I mean, I go in and everything's boxed up, and so I'm paralleling this to your situation.
Right.
I said something to the guy in charge at the time that in the moment I thought would give me great satisfaction. And I walked out of that building and I got in my car and I thought, you are such an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's what Satan does to you. He puts that carrot on the stick.
Doesn't he?
And he's like, come on, go for it, man. This will make you feel
You're
so good.
Right.
And the instant you do it, I fell for that. It gives you none of the fulfillment you thought it would give you. And I so regret that. And I so wish I could
Did you ever reach back out
and change that? No, I did not.
Well, our challenge is to you to reach back out to him. Yeah. No, I'm serious.
I know. He's not there anymore.
Well, find him.
I should find him.
That's
a challenge for me. You know what?
No, that's making amends.
Making amends.
And making it right. You don't have to.
Right.
Your salvation's not depending on it.
No, it's not.
But it is making it. But it is making it right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea.
I do that on Twitter once in a while because here's the great thing about me as an analyst. I refer to myself as the people's analyst.
You are, because you're reachable and you respond.
And I learned this when I was at ESPN. The guy brings me into the office, and he said, Chris, why are you going to have a future in this business? I go, why? He goes, because people respond to you. They either absolutely love you and think you're the best thing since Madden, or they absolutely despise and hate you with a passion. There's no lukewarm feeling about you. There's one way or the
those emotions.
Yeah, there's one way or another. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm just going to go. And one thing I try to do, and you watched me on, I don't know if you watched yesterday, but
I did.
I'm definitely I'm myself, and maybe a more outgoing version.
You are a more outgoing version of yourself. Yes.
A passionate football. I think my passion for football comes out.
When we do radio, when you do TV, you can't just be who you are in normal life, because like they say, the TV adds 15 pounds to a person.
Yeah.
If you're just your normal emotions on TV, you sound asleep.
Yeah.
You have to bring the energy up a little bit. So that's where.
So it was cool. So anyway, Lions were great. We go on the field. Rick was there, which was cool.
Mm-hmm. Your brother,
yeah.
GM of the
and
Vikings.
I told all of them, you can't wear any Vikings gear up there. I have loyalty to the Lions too.
Yes.
Not when I'm doing my job, but
right.
when I'm outside my job, it's my team.
Well, if they're going in the booth, they can't be a fan.
It's really cool. And so I had to meet Mrs. Ford, Martha Ford, wonderful woman. She gave us her time. She came over and talked to my daughters and told them about Stephanie. I go to the other sideline. There's Mark and Ziggy Wilf, the owner of the Vikings. Mm-hmm. I'm introducing to them. And my teammate and the all-time greatest running back, when I first brought him on the field, was down there, and Barry Sanders. And so the two guys, Matt and Josh, were like Barry Sanders, you know, and it was so cool for me to see the joy in their eyes. We talked about this all the time, right? Yep. What love is when you see that your kids or people that you care deeply about having experienced something really cool in their life, and you're happier about it than they are. And so I looked at Josh, who's Macy's friend. I got boyfriend, whatever. Friend, boyfriend, who's counting? But anyway, I look at Josh and I say, hey, Josh. And Josh is a great kid. I love the kid. Really smart. Went to Kilbourne. He's a freshman at Ohio State. I look at Josh and I said, Josh, I bet you when you were the captain of the Wilmington Kilbourne soccer team, I bet the thought never went through your mind that you'd be standing on a 50-yard line of an NFL field hanging out with Barry Sanders, did it?
That's right. That's right.
He just started, no, it didn't. So
how cool for you. They showed it. I don't know if you knew. They showed it on Fox going to a commercial break.
I had no idea.
Barry, obviously that's how I knew. I saw Maddie, I saw Matt, I saw Mace,
and
you,
and the young one, Josh.
Yeah. So it was really cool.
It is, because I want, and I thank the Lions. I tried to thank the Lions on Twitter, and I saw Rod Wood, who's the president of the Lions, and he's done a great job of the alumni and doing a lot of things and bringing players back. He's just done a tremendous job. And I went up to him and I thanked him. I said, I can't tell you how much this means to me. I mean, I never, you know me long enough that I never try to take advantage of any position that I have. In fact, I go out of my way most of the time to avoid asking for favors or things like that. But this was really a cool thing for me. And our producer, Mark Titleman, I had him get there 3 hours before the game. I, of course, was there 4 hours before the game. So I gave him an hour rest, And I showed him the trucks, and the producer takes the time to show him all the screens in the TV truck and how the operation works. And I take him up in the booth, and they're drawing on a telestrator, and it's just it was a really cool moment for me, and one that I'll always remember. And these are the things as we get older that become more important to us. I like to call them, now nobody knows what this is except you and I, and my kids have no idea. I like it to call it a Polaroid for my mind. So that's something in my mind that I will keep forever. So it was really cool.
I was really happy for you. It was great. It was great to get to hear you work yesterday. I always enjoy that. It was not as pleasant on the Bengals sideline yesterday. At the end of their game, Joe Mixon went out to be part of the final drive. They instead kept Gio Bernard in the game. Joe Mixon's always been a guy who's been kind of the emotional pulse of the Bengals.
I'll give you the reason why.
He was taking his shoulder pads off, and I'm not ripping him for it. I'm just saying this speaks to the level of.
Why was he taking his shoulder before the game was over?
Yeah, took his shoulder pads off.
Why are you not ripping him for it?
Standing down at the end of the tunnel.
Why are you not ripping him for that?
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's not the right move. It's just I'm using it as a window into the level of frustration. Here's a guy who's been all in on the Bengals and been the guy who's been trying to hype the Bengals up and trying to get the Bengals
until
to believe.
Things aren't going his way.
I guess. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So he goes in, he's dressed, he's showered, he's gone before the locker room opened up. Now the guy said, hey, you got a minute? He's like, no, I can't talk now. He wasn't mad. He was just like, it was a frustration thing. And I know you can't let it get to you, but that's how bad things are in Cincinnati. They're 0-7. They got the Rams in London. I mean, I don't know. It's the NFL, so anything could happen, and it's London, so that brings up, the possibility of anything. And the Rams haven't been exactly killing it lately, although they were pretty good yesterday, right?
Yeah,
they won yesterday.
The Falcons.
Then here's
Quinn is going to be lucky to keep his job.
Yeah, he is going to be lucky to keep his job. Then it's for the Bengals. It's Ravens at home, at Oakland, Pittsburgh at home, at the Browns, New England.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, I left the Jets out. After Pittsburgh, it's the Jets at home. December 1st. That looks to me like your first chance for a Bengal win. You can't win if you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run, and they can't do either one.
Well, Joe Mixon had 2 yards. I didn't see this, so I'm just going off of what you just described. But for those listening out there, I'm going to give you pure speculation on my part of a couple things of why they pulled Joe Mixon and what Zach Taylor needs to do But again, I'm only going off of what you're
Well, I
telling
just
me.
told you yes.
So,
which is accounted if you're an Athletic subscriber. Paul Daner Jr. wrote about this in The Athletic. You can find it at theathletic.com.
By the way, I am an Athletic subscriber, and I think they do a wonderful job covering the NFL.
Yes, they do.
It's just tremendous. Joe Mixon wasn't on the field because he can't pass block. He'll get Andy Dalton killed.
Okay.
Giovanni Bernard is a better pass blocker. So you're going to be slinging the ball around.
It was a garbage time possession. They're down 27-10.
Yeah.
They're going down the field. Jacksonville's letting them go down
but
the field
as a
and let
pro,
the clock run out.
I understand his frustration because he wants to finish the game. But if you're throwing the ball all around, were they throwing the ball?
Yes.
Okay, so Gio's going to be he's a better blocker.
Yeah. The underneath stuff, the 10, 15-yard chunk stuff to get the game over with.
And you want to keep Joe Mixon healthy. So Zach Taylor makes the right decision because the games that I did, Joe Mixon missed about 3 blocks and got Andy Dalton killed.
Jacksonville has the second worst rush defense in the NFL. The Bengals rush 14 times for 2 yards.
Yeah.
They are on pace this year as a team to rush for 850 yards, which would be the worst in the NFL since 1949. They have 303 rushing
yards. And they got the issue
games.
with the offensive tackle, too.
They got issues on the offensive line because it was like chickens coming home to roost yesterday. Cedric Ogbuehi is playing for the Jags. He was a first-round pick of the Bengals, I believe. Jake Fisher was a second-round pick that year out of Texas A&M. Billy Price has been an epic disappointment. I'm stunned by that. And then Jonah Williams is hurt, so they've devoted a lot of high picks to the offensive line.
What's the tackle's name that had the concussion that won't?
Cordy Glenn. Offensive tackle, concussion, fined him last week. All kinds of
$200,000 detrimental to the team.
All kinds of offensive line issues with the Cincinnati Bengals, and then Andy Dalton throws 3 picks in the fourth quarter when they're up 10-9, including a pick 6. Gio Bernard got hung up on a screen pass in the wash, threw it right to a defensive lineman. He takes it all the way back. They didn't draft Dwayne Haskins. They didn't draft Pat Mahomes. Andy Dalton's in the final year of his contract. Their backup is Ryan Finley. He's a rookie. You're 0-7. So, the blame's falling on Andy.
It's the quarterback position. So they do play the Dolphins, I think, the second to last week of the season.
They do, yes. At the Dolphins.
So, I mean... Would it be one of those games where, whoopsie, I didn't mean to fumble that one. Whoops, I didn't mean to throw that.
Who do you like better, Tua or Justin Herbert? Yeah.
No.
You want to win the game?
No, that's not the choice now. The choice is Joe Burrow has been the hot topic of the number 1 quarterback overall.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be something if Joe Burrow ends up being the top quarterback in the NFL?
I want to ask Ryan Day this, but I don't think tomorrow's the day to ask it because it's Wisconsin. But Ryan has talked before about how happy he is for Joe Burrow. And that's genuine. I mean, you can tell Ryan's really happy.
I think everybody in Ohio is happy.
But here's the
Joe
thing.
Burrow.
Ryan has also talked about the difficulty of keeping quarterbacks happy and keeping them on campus.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the new world. You're out there, you're re-recruiting these guys every year. The question I want to ask him, and it's not a gotcha question, I'm genuinely concerned. Is it good for Ohio State's recruiting if Joe Burrow wins the Heisman at LSU? Because it's like, doesn't that encourage other kids who are at Ohio State and are the backup and buried to say, why would I stay here? Look, I know I'm good. You recruited me. Look what Joe Burrow did when he got out of here and got to play.
Well, I mean, maybe potentially in the future.
Yeah.
The 2 kids they have now understand what their role.
But they got this Jack Miller kid coming in from Arizona, and they're recruiting another kid.
Go get him.
A freshman. And so Ryan says the ideal quarterback room is 4. I'm wondering if the ideal quarterback room for them is 4, but one of them is a grad transfer chugging off type, or one is a guy who you just a Kenny Guyton, a guy who you know is not gonna look and have the wanderlust for somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Bruce. I mean, that's the way it is, and the perfect example is Oklahoma. You had Baker Mayfield, who started out at Texas Tech. You had Kyler Murray, who started out at Texas A&M. You got Jalen Hurts, who started out at Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, these are one-hit wonders. Russell Wilson did it from North Carolina State to Wisconsin.
I mean, Lincoln Riley's a kingmaker.
Yeah.
I was actually shocked Justin Fields didn't go to Oklahoma. Not because but if you're looking at proven, Lincoln Riley's proven more so than at that time Ryan Day was proven.
Well, we're moving into that direction where it's just basically going to be 1-year contracts.
It's free agency.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I love it because I want to see the best players play. Coaches hate
Jacob Eason at Washington is a big-time NFL prospect, former Clemson guy. Lost out, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's awesome. To me, now, it's not ideal, but I'm just as getting the good players to play and seeing the best players possible. And do you blame? I don't blame one kid. Not one kid for doing this.
It's the same decision Nick Bosa made. Nick Bosa made a decision for Nick
business
Bosa.
Decision.
And these guys are making a business decision
I have
too.
no problem with that because every coach in America makes a business decision.
Absolutely.
Every coach in America makes a business decision. And for the first time over the last, 150 years of college football, at least by that position, those kids hold some kind of power.
By I misspoke. Jacob Eason was at Georgia.
Yeah,
Jacob
he lost
Eason
to
was
Jake
at Georgia.
Fromm.
He was there. He was the starter.
Yeah.
And
Jake Fromm beat him out.
Well, tore up his knee. And then Jake Fromm stepped in there.
Speaking of Lincoln
Kelly Bryant
Riley,
was at Clemson, and he moved on. Okay.
Speaking of, who did we just say? Oh, Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Urban Meyer was falsely accused of campaigning for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, what was that? I saw that Urban brought up the Dallas Cowboy job.
No,
I didn't see
went.
it. Tell me that, because I'm not familiar with.
So I'm
those
Colin
specifics.
Cowherd, who, by the way, had no idea that Joe Burrow
played at Ohio State
and had Urban for 3 years. How'd you let that Joe Burrow get out of Columbus, out of Ohio? How did he get out of Ohio?
Yeah, that's a big fail.
I mean, God, but I don't even know how that's possible.
His producers let him down on that one.
Yeah,
big
I
time.
mean, he's got a lot of things going on. I get it. Okay. So he was asking about Lincoln Riley having a job. Then I think it came up, would he take the job? And all his Urban said, it's the Dallas Cowboys, right? The premier team. Whether you love them or hate them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They are the draw in the NFL.
Gold standard.
They absolutely are. They always have been, and they always will be.
Yankees, Cowboys, Lakers, Ohio State.
And that's what Urban said.
Those are the jobs.
So, I mean, but people... Then he was getting ripped saying, well, you don't campaign for jobs that people already have. But he's not coaching now. He's in the media now. If he's asked his opinion and he works for Fox and his job is to give his opinion, then he has to give his opinion. And I applaud him because he is brutally honest. He was brutally honest in his press conferences for most of the time.
He really was, yeah.
I mean, I'm just talking about evaluation
on players,
on players and coaches and himself.
Yeah, I won't take the fastball on.
No, I know you
Big
won't.
Ten kickoff lunch, and that's been water under the bridge. We get it.
That's done and over. But I'm just talking about his approach on his evaluation of football, of coaches and players.
Yeah,
guys, as honest as they get.
That's why he's good on TV. Great on TV.
Yep. So.
He'll have his pick of jobs going forward. He'll have his pick of the USC job. He'll have his pick of the Browns job. Sorry, Freddie kids. He'll have he'll have his pick if Zach Taylor doesn't work out. And he'll have his pick.
I think
Notre Dame, name it. He'll have his pick.
I haven't talked to him about this, and so I have no idea. I'm just having fun with it because it's Urban Meyer, one of the greatest coaches in the history of college football. I wonder, and I was thinking about this when I was reading about that story, if the lure of the NFL, you know how highly competitive he is, right? If that is, it's like somebody's throwing like a come to me, you know what I mean?
His answer is very telling. I mean, his answer is right on. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Like, there's stuff you don't think about because it doesn't seem real, but then it's like, wait a second, you mean I got the Dallas Cowboys? Like, I got Zeke and I got this and that and Jerry Jones.
Got Dak.
Yeah. Well, okay.
He looked good last night.
Yeah, pretty good. The Eagles, man, they just can't get out of the gate. They're fine if they're fine at halftime, but they just can't get out of the gate in the first quarter. Let's put on one end of the of a plot line. Enjoyment and awesome fun. like you had in Detroit this weekend with your family and
Mm-hmm.
everything. On the other end of the plot line, we put pure torment. Okay. Where on that continuum is Urban this week as the Fox pregame show is live on campus at Ohio State? And there's the vibe of a big game, and there's a great team in that Ohio State locker room, and it's all guys he recruited, and he's right there around it and right in the midst of it, but he's not coaching it.
Okay.
Where is he?
The only thing I can compare that to, and by no means, it's no comparison, okay? But this is the only thing I can think of. So when we suffer a loss of someone, you go through, okay, we have to go through a period of first.
Mm-hmm.
The first time since the loss, the first time since whatever. There's a first Christmas, there's a first holiday, there's a first birthday, there's
anniversary.
Yeah, there's just a period of firsts that you have to go to. So when he comes back to Ohio State, and it's going to be rocking there, right? And the excitement, and Urban's going to be cheered and hailed as the conquering Roman general re-entering the city gates, all that stuff. Inside, I think it's going to be very difficult for him because it is the first time coming back. I think if they come back again, it'll get easier and easier and easier. You know, I remember just when I was quit playing football. I mean, there was a first day where I'm not going to practice today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching film today. I mean, it was really, really hard. Then the first time I stepped into NFL stadium 4 years ago, the first time I stepped